It's the MythWits, a geek pop culture web series, broadcast live for video and audio podcasts. Watch us live at MythWits.com and find us on YouTube and iTunes, bringing you news and reviews about geek pop culture. We have comedy skits, play nerd-tastic games, and provide extensive on-location con coverage. And now, your hosts.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the MythWits. I'm your host, Peter Bryant, and tonight I am joined by my co-host, Michael Kafis.
What's up, everybody?
Brian Olvera.
Hey, guys.
And our guest tonight is Violet A. And Mike, watch this. LeVoit. Did I get it right?
It's beautiful.
Yay!
You did get it right.
Oh my God!
What? Were you practicing?
No, well, she actually sent me the pronunciations. I am terrible. I screw up everybody's name, so it's a little bit of my bit. But she sent me the pronunciation, so I got to correct this time.
Is that French?
It's
French. Yeah, it rhymes with moi.
So before we go any further, tonight's show is definitely not safe for work. We're going to, we may even venture a little.
Wait, Pete.
What?
Pete.
Yeah.
Is this show safe for erotic cakes?
Erotic cakes? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes. Is it safe for erotic cakes?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Hey.
I just wanted to make sure.
I like this one with the hand around it. That's nice. That's a beautiful picture.
I always like to provide this information for the listeners and the viewers if this show is safe for various situations. And tonight I was considering whether or not, if you're an erotic cake, are you eligible to watch this show? So
I think so. I think we may tend to be just a tiny bit tame for the cakes, but we'll try to impress them. But I will say this for those just listening to the audio cast version of this. Mike, Google erotic cakes.
You missed it.
Go to images.
Just Google image erotic cakes. You'll find everything.
Yeah, it was there.
So Violet is an author, and she wrote this book of short stories. This is one of them. There's a couple of them. I'm gonna hold up the book right now, and I will hold on. I got the actual image itself. If I can find it.
It's a hold off.
Yeah, here we go. It's called I Am Genghis Cum. So we'll be talking about that. I've actually read some of this. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And then her next book, I'll Fuck Anything That Moves and Stephen Hawking. I love that title. It's the best title. So so we thought, I talked to her, I met her at Balticon, and when I heard all that, I was just like, wow, she's perfect for our show. So
We were just talking before the show, Pete, and it's very disappointing. She is a native Baltimorean, and she defected to Philadelphia, and that's just very disappointing.
Good. Now it's
across the cheesesteak line.
It's okay. It's all right. It's not a bad. I don't know why you ran away from here or anything like that. I mean, you could have hung out with us, and drank some natty booze.
Right. Well, I have my Baltimore tattoo with me at all times. So,
okay, cool.
Greg Houston, who's an illustrator in Baltimore, he made this little dude. It's my natty bones. So I carry him with me wherever I go.
Oh, nice.
I like that. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Natty skull and bones.
Yep.
Awesome. So I met Violet at Balticon, and I can't even remember. We got started talking. It was Kickstarter we were talking about. That's what it was. That's how we.
Yeah, we were at that seminar about Kickstarter, about how to do a Kickstarter campaign. Yeah.
Right. And so we were talking about some of her fiction stuff, and she mentioned she does bizarre. Now I never even knew this existed. I didn't know bizarro was a genre.
Yeah.
I knew what erotic fiction was, and what was the other? There's another one. There's bizarro, and then there's what? I thought there was something else kind of like
that I wrote, or that was existed in the world.
That's in the genre that exists in the world. There's bizarre. I'm trying to think of the other one. Anyway, Gonzo. That was the word I was thinking of.
Yeah. Well, I usually think of Gonzo as being more journalism, as being more like blurring between fiction and nonfiction, or like Hunter.
Yeah, I think that's what Gonzo really was.
Fiction. Yeah. So.
Cool. So tell me about let's see. How did you get started being being an author? You know, when did you decide to write, and what brought that bug out in you?
Let's see. So, the old story that I've always written and I always liked writing. It really started picking up considerably around, I want to say like 2003, 2004, when I discovered fan fiction and specifically slash fiction on the internet. And all of a sudden, here were all these forums of people, mostly women, mostly heterosexual women, but not exclusively, who were very eager to hear my stories about Nightcrawler fucking Colossus. And I suddenly realized that I had an audience for this. And I wrote that for a little while, and I made some friends in slash fiction communities. And some of my friends started making the leap from writing their stories, fan fiction stories, to being published by romance, like ebook novelists. Like, this is maybe like a couple years before the big break of 50 Shades of Grey. Ebook romance is a gigantic, gigantic market because you can buy these erotic stories online and nobody bothers you. Nobody sees what you're buying. So as they started making the transition, I thought, well, this looks really easy. I could do this. Well, it's not. It took me 7 years to write my first novel. So that was this romance called Hotel Butterfly. And then after that, I had sort of a traumatic life experience. So I got pregnant and I had my son, but I ended up being in delivery for 90 hours, like 90 hours. God. And after you have an experience like that, you really don't want to write any romances. You don't want to write about sex. You don't want to think about it anymore. You just want to kind of put yourself back together. So in that, so Genghis Cum became all of these stories, because I'm sitting with my son trying to, he's in the back seat and I'm trying to get groceries and I'm miserable and fat and unhappy. And I start thinking, oh, maybe I could sell him for parts on the black market. Maybe they could give me a purse made out of my uterus, tanned as hide. And as soon as you think that, you're like, what the hell am I thinking? Where is this coming from? So, but then I sort of realized, like, I think if Chuck Palahniuk thought that, he would write that story. Why don't I write that story? And let's see what happens. So all of the stories that are in Genghis Cum arose out of that experience, and it was a way to make peace with it. And it's 8 stories in the book, and they're all about some facet of human reproduction. So the cover story is about a man who he wants to have a lock on the next generation, and he's heard that Genghis Khan, like every 13th person in Asia right now, is descended from Genghis Khan. That's a true fact. They all have the same Y chromosome. So he decides he wants to have a lock on the next generation, so he makes a deposit at every sperm bank in the world. And that's what, every story sort of progresses through, parenthood, adolescence, and they're all about that in some way, So now that I've gotten all of this out of my system, I met a whole group of people who were writing Bizarro. And I think this is a good week for us to be talking about Bizarro, because apparently one of my colleagues, Carlton Melick, his book, The Haunted Vagina, has just really blown up. I've had friends send me this, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah, I know this guy. Apparently it got mislabeled in Amazon and under women's romantic fiction or something, which it's not. It's really not. But I'm very amused to think of people looking forward and buying it. So I found this whole group of people who were interested in the same whacked out kind of stuff that I was. There's a convention in Portland called Bizarro Con that's actually happening in early November, and I'll be there with a bunch of other writers. I just can't tell you how great it is to be in a room full of people who you can write this stuff and people don't want to, put you in a rubber room. I'm very, very grateful to that community.
Well, I think, it's funny because I get people telling me that all the time. My wife doesn't, when I'm sitting there, if I start laughing to myself, but I don't tell anybody what it is, she's like, don't even say it. Don't tell me. Because it's going to be... I don't want to know. Right. It's going to be something completely fucked up. And I laugh at like I started reading this. I really like this. I mean, this was awesome. Wow. The whole story of this guy going to the sperm banks and stuff. And I felt the Chuck Palahniuk, the vibe. I could feel you channeling that vibe. I mean, it's not him, but it sounds like something he might write. But it was a really cool idea, and I was like, this is awesome, and I want to read more about this guy because he I'm not going to spoil anything, but he encounters some guy in the sperm bank, and there's a story going on between the two of them, and I found that really interesting. It's kind of abstract, so I'm reading through it, and I'm kind of I'm trying to follow it, but you can't follow it directly. I think you wrote that kind of abstract, right? I mean, there was some abstractness
Right.
to it, right? Okay. And good. I'm not completely out of it. But
No, it's not you. I mean, I really enjoy. I don't like the straight ahead narrative, and I like to play with the words on the page and how, like that story Teeth, where the letters start dropping out of the words and becoming other things. I like to, since I came from a background of loving graphic novels first before I loved literature. You know, I grew up in like the Claremont era of the X-Men, the New Mutants, and stuff like that.
Right,
So
yeah.
the idea of there being a visual presence on the page is really important to me, even if it's just text. So I do want the reader to always sort of be aware of that surface of it. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. And I don't. I was kind of like, where did you get the idea for that first story? Because that's the one I fully read. I'm about halfway through the cop one, the second one.
Let's see. The Genghis Khan story, I think I read in a scientific journal that the true story that every 13th man in China has the same Y chromosome. And they were starting to think, well, who is it? And the obvious answer is Genghis Khan. You know, who made such an impact on the world, traveling across large swaths of it, before there were a lot of people, you know, when you could really sort of get at the bottom of the pyramid scheme of, you know, human reproduction. And that's the most likely candidate. And so the idea of like, how do you, I mean, when you say Polinick, I mean, and I know that I brought him up, but a lot of his work, or at least Fight Club, is a lot about American masculinity and trying to figure out how to be a man in a very fractured postmodern kind of world. And how do you be a man in the 21st century when Genghis Khan was, you know, centuries ago? How do you top that? You can't top that. So how do you form your own opinion about yourself? And those questions really interest me, and I think that's why I found it easier to write the male characters in this book from the first person perspective. And I've had men come to me after shows and say, wow, you know, if you really feel like you've gotten inside men's heads, and that's exactly how I think, and that's how, and I'm like, buddy, it's satire. Why don't you take a step back, you know? But I think that
I'm just like that character. It's like, get away.
Between men and women, there's really not that much difference. And once you get back to like the core values of wanting to feel like you matter, wanting to be important, and wanting to fight against a wall of, you know, human conquest and achievement, how do you carve into that? And I think those are the same no matter what gender you are.
Yeah.
I like that idea. It's kind of like, well, you know, Genghis Khan was able to just rape, you know, women at will. But it's like in your story, it's almost like this guy's raping society.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
I think is probably more productive than becoming a school shooter, you know, which is probably also the motive for shooters as well. But, you know,
everyone's got to have something, an outlet.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Right. So.
And then, so the second story in here. All right, so I'm about, where am I? I think I'm about halfway through it. It's about a cop, and like I need to get finished it because I need for it to make more sense to me. It's really
that would have been better to do before the show, buddy.
No, I've read as much as I can. I've been busy.
You know.
At least
my work is so rich, you can't take it all in one setting.
No. We'll wait. You read. We'll wait. We'll just
No, but it's this one's really abstract. You know, that people are being killed, and they're finding like special sauce in their veins, and was it they talk about a past case where somebody got killed? Was it working as a barista, and they were boiled to death from the inside from the coffee, and I'm just like, this is really bizarre. I need to know what's going on.
Right, so I'll tell you the story with all of this. So before I was a writer, I worked in television. I worked as a production assistant on you know, big shoots and stuff like that. And you know, so when you're a production assistant, one of your jobs is taking the talent. If it's not you know, Jessica Simpson or something, it's taking talent to and from the airport, whatever. So I was working a commercial in Baltimore, and it was my job to pick up the talent, and this guy was a spokesperson, and he was very proud of this fact. And I think he announced himself like, yes, I'm a spokesperson, and I just couldn't believe, who is this person in my car that at some point has abandoned all human dignity and said, yes, I'm a mouthpiece for a corporation. That's my sum total of who I am at this moment. And so I just sort of nodded, and I listened to the story, but I never forgot him. And like, he had flown out to California to do this mattress commercial, and so I started thinking. So the plot of this story, you're correct that it's sort of disjointed. because this one was a gift. This one came to me complete in a dream from beginning to end. And I'm a tremendous prolific dreamer, but I usually don't dream full narrative. So when I woke up from this one, I wrote it all down. Cool. So I started thinking about this guy who's the spokesperson, and what is it if a corporation is a legal entity? It's no different than a person. So it needs to consume, it needs to excrete, it has legal rights. But then what if you allow, like in voodoo, where you allow the god to come and ride you? And what if you could summon up a corporation to be in your body? And so that's happening. And then later on, there are people who are oracles for corporations. And I just love that idea of something that is technically legally a person, a corporation, being like a jinn or a spirit that can possess people. So that's where that came from.
So it's like a totem. So like if he's the spokesperson for say Starbucks or whatever, that Starbucks is his totem, and he becomes Starbucks.
Right. Yeah. And you can come into like Papa Legba, come ride your horse. Yeah, like a voodoo spirit. Mm-hmm.
Cool. I like that. That is really really cool.
That's gotta have perks.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess what you did there. Yeah. Boy, you ran that one into the ground. Oh, I like that.
We're really grinding this to a...
Oh,
yeah.
Dude, you're going to get some hot water here now. Stop. So... All right, stop. All right, so you said it took you a while to write this first book.
Yeah, so I wrote 4 stories of it. And, lo and behold, the New Yorker is not interested in these stories. So I tried a very hard time trying to get them published. The fact that they were so outside of genre, I just finally said, fuck it. I'm going to do like what bands do and just make a mixtape. So me and the illustrator, Josh Myers, we put together a little 4-story book and printed it out. And somehow it got into the hands of John Skipp, who is this renowned horror writer, and he's very part of Bizarro and everything. And he loved it. And he said, would you consider writing 4 more stories and doing an expanded edition for this new imprint, Fungasm, that I'm doing with Eraserhead Press in Portland? And I said yes. And so Eraserhead, Fungasm printed Genghis Cum, and they're printing the second book, the I'll Fuck Anything That Moves in Stephen Hawking book.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit about what that book is about? I mean...
Yeah, so
you want to move on to that one?
The title doesn't give it away. Is basically about sex and human reproduction. The Stephen Hawking book is about death. And it's longer, it's 12 stories, but it's all this ultimate question of to be or not to be. And there's still lots of craziness and lots of insanity, but I think that's, when I look at it, that's the theme that's coming through it. So I have stories about a man going into a motel and having masturbation fantasies with Leslie Van Houten and Emily Dickinson. And then there's another one about Thanksgiving dinner that's interrupted because the mom needs to cook crocodile, that Russian drug that you inject in your veins and it eats your flesh and everything. There's another one about a guy who can't meet his student loan payments, but he's a white male age 25, so he rents out his body to people who are not white and who are not male, who want to enjoy feeling what it's like to walk around in that skin for a little while. Yeah, it's sort of a handful of stuff, and it's more experimental things as well, where it's about, I wrote one story called Terms and Conditions, because I was thinking about the terms and conditions you have to click when you download software or whatever, and I thought, this is a piece of writing that nobody reads. Precisely nobody reads this.
Biggest
so why don't I
lie
write
ever
a
told.
story written like a term, in the style of a terms and conditions, accept or decline, and see if anybody reads it. And the idea with that one is that you accept or decline whether to live. And with thing out, all the terrible things that can happen to you. Ebola, being rejected, running over your wife accidentally because your foot stepped off the clutch on your 60th wedding anniversary. And the idea is like, do you accept, do you decline? That's the to be or not to be. So that's the theme of that book.
All right. So
I like it.
So how long did that book take you to write? I mean, because this one took you a long time. How long did the second one take you?
I think the second one was much quicker. I've gotten better. This one is short stories that I published in other places, maybe like 1 or 2 years altogether.
Yeah, because, a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people seem to think that, I got a book in me, I can write a book. I just need to find the time to do it. And I'm sure this isn't your full-time gig. You probably have.
No,
yeah. Right. Most writers it is.
Right.
I mean, writers with like a bunch of books under their belts, not even their full-time gig yet.
Right.
So
Well,
like
the line I use is that, you know, the good news is that I make all my money from writing. The bad news is that I make all my money from writing. So I'm a contributor at TurnerClassicMovies.com, and I also I do like occasional op-ed pieces at other film thought websites. Like my other body of work is as a film critic, which is what I've loved to do for years. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely doing other things while I'm writing these.
Okay, all right. Speaking of which, hey Mike.
Yes.
You might want to look on our YouTube page and load up that video when you're ready. When you get a chance.
Okay.
But go ahead and answer the question.
And I have a question, and that is that for someone who's sort of had your background and you've kind of jumped into writing now, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give somebody who's kind of thinking, like, you know, I do think I have a book or some short stories in me. I think that what I have is you know, talent. I think other people would like it. I'd like to share it with them. What kind of advice would you give them based on, you know, your experiences, what you've been able to do successful and some of the mistakes you've made?
Right. Well, okay. So I guess the question I have with that, maybe it's not apparent in the question, is it the encouragement to just, you know, sit down and do the work to write, or is it the feeling of where is my audience? Where is this other group of writers that I'm going to find?
I have this passion. I feel like I have this great idea for a book. I want to, you know, it's half written. Da, 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 da.
Right.
What should I do? What is the best way? How can I be the most successful? You know what I mean? Like in your experience,
Right.
what has gotten you to this point for you?
Okay, so it's I'll give you the advice. I saw Amy Tan speak once, and she talked about her own project. And, you know, this is a woman, she's like a New York Times bestseller, and
Joy Luck Club.
but she said she writes, and then after a little while she starts to get nervous about what she's writing, and then she thinks, well, maybe I should do the dishes and whatever. And she said, I wrote my first book a little bit at a time until my worries about not being a good writer caught up with me, and then I went and did something else. She said, if you can outrun your fears for 15 minutes every day, you can finish a novel. So that's what I think about, because I get writer's block. But I sit down and I say, okay, I'm just going to outrun my fears for a little bit. The next thing is, it is so crucial to find a community of writers. And I don't just mean an online community, although that is essential. That worked for me for writing slash fiction, and that was enough in its time. But I can't stress how much it's hard to be an artist, and it's going to be even harder if you're doing it in a vacuum and you're not going to have a supportive group of people who are cheering you on. If you're a writer, try to find another group of writers. If you can't find another group of writers, learn to play an instrument, because music is the only art form that it's really at its best when you are in a community with other people. If you play the drums, you will immediately find another community of creative people. And these will be people who are not just musicians, because I've never known anyone who is just a musician. They were a musician plus a painter plus a poet plus whatever. So writers first, but if you can't find a group of writers, go join a band and get in with a music scene, because if artists and creative people don't sustain each other, it's so hard to sustain the drive to do it.
Yeah, I work with so I have a bunch of friends online that are game designers, because I do some role playing games, I do some writing and stuff as well, and we support each other greatly. And this is we're mostly online, but we meet each other at conventions and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right. A community sprouts up. I mean, it's basically it's almost like everybody wants it. So once you find these other people, they just cling together like Velcro. You can't help it. Going to conventions is good, like Balticon. If you're anywhere near Balticon, that is a huge mecca for writers. I mean, that is if you want to be a writer, go there. And the people there, the writers there, they're all really friendly. I mean, like really, really friendly. So
I mean, that's the nice thing about Balticon, is that it's literary science fiction. And there's cosplay and stuff like that, but I don't know of another con that's about the books. You know, do you know of another one, or
that's about just the writing book? You know, I don't know. I do know this. I know Scott Sigler flies in from California. Paul Cooley flies in from Texas.
But Scott goes to another place too. I wish I remember what it was called.
I think he goes to science fiction. Well, he goes to another one with schools and stuff. But at any rate,
it's a writer's con. But
I do know this. I do know that people fly in from all over the country just to go to Balticon, just to hang out with other writers, because it's it's that kind of community. So I mean, if you
Yeah.
really want to get into writing and you can make it to Balticon, you should come. It's real friendly. It's real easy to talk to everybody. I mean, it's not like a big giant
Absolutely.
con where you can't
Yeah.
meet people. If you want to meet anyone who's there, it's done.
Yeah, it's cozy.
Yeah. And in the past couple of years, they've done a lot better about doing programming. Like, we met on that Kickstarter panel, but I attended another one that was about, queer, gay and lesbian presence in science fiction, and that room was packed. There was, I mean, everybody wanted to talk about that one. And when we left the panel, people said we should have more things like that. So I think there really is a space for that kind of programming there.
Right, absolutely. No, and they also do. I mean, not this has anything to do with gay and lesbian at all. I mean, it can, but it doesn't necessarily have to. They have a lot of late night programming, so they have a lot of. They support a lot of things at Balticon. I mean, they're pretty open to all kinds of stuff. I mean, their late night programming, they get into erotic fiction and they get into. I mean, it seems to be pretty. I don't know, but as long as it's legal.
Yeah, right.
I think they're cool with it,
Hey, Violet, we have someone in the chat room, David, one of our loyal listeners too, and he's wondering who were some of your favorite authors?
Let's see. Chuck Palahniuk, most definitely. I love Yukio Mishima. He's a Japanese writer. I know about him because Paul Schrader did a movie about his life. So this was a guy who, all of his books were about death and about like a desire for death. And I think in 1971, he decided he was going to make this paramilitary troop. And this is a writer. This is like Norman Mailer saying, I'm going to form a militia. Mishima took up bodybuilding and had this paramilitary troop, and one day took over a military school and said, everybody go outside, took some people hostage and said, I'm going to give a speech about how we should swear loyalty to the emperor. And he went outside and everybody jeered him, and he said, well, I tried, and he went inside and committed seppuku, stabbed himself in the stomach. So when I heard about this guy, I was like, this is incredible. And I really loved his short stories because they're full of that very Japanese feeling of, aware, that feeling of like beauty that's more beautiful because, it's temporary. It's beauty inflicted with this melancholy and this sadness.
Oh my
really
God, wait a
incredible.
minute. Hold on. I need to write that down. Give me a second here.
Yukio Mishima. Yeah, and if you, as a starting point, you can watch the Paul Schrader movie too. Paul Schrader wrote Taxi Driver, and then he directed this movie as a labor of love. And it's this extraordinary movie because it's told in 3 different styles. So it's moments from the last day of his life are told in this very 1970s documentary, faded color. His childhood memories are in this lush black and white, and then scenes from his novels and plays are in this gorgeous Technicolor. It's one of the most exquisite movies I've ever seen.
So it's pretty. It's really pretty as well.
Yeah.
So who is it about? It's Paul Schrader, but who was the movie? Who's the artist?
The artist name. His name is Yukio Mishima. Mishima.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have one of the things that so I'm sure people on this show already know this, but I'm an atheist, and people ask me all the time, well, how do you find beauty? Where do you see beauty? And it's like, if without God and all that kind of stuff. And I always tell them, I don't understand how you can see beauty, because to me, life is so beautiful because it's so short, it's so finite, that every moment, everything in it is amazing. I mean, to me, I can look at a tree and I can look at the sky, and I don't need there to be a divine being. And this is not that I'm not pooping on anybody else's belief system. This is my system. Is that to me, it's like, it doesn't need to be beautiful because there's some, this magnificent creature that made it or anything like that. It's beautiful because it exists at all, and because I will only get to see it for a very short period of time, and it's one tiny speck in a enormous universe that is full of so many things that we'll never see. And to me, that's beautiful in and of itself. It's like to know that there are things in the universe that I will never see. And I mean, some people would say that was depressing, but I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of amazing.
Because it's still a privilege to have seen everything that we have seen.
What's that?
Right.
So
I mean, there's still some mystery to the world.
Yep.
That's what I think about. In the digitized world, I'm so much more interested in the past than the future. I always wanted to be a science fiction novelist, but I'm not a good prognosticator. And I think what interests me about the past is how much of it is gone. And when there is that little bit of mystery in a world where you can just, I wonder what my old classmate is up to. I think I'll Facebook them. Oh, look at them. There's some things that are lost forever, and that just makes everything more exquisite.
Yeah, you know, and that is another thing. That's true. You know, when you look back through your ancient time machine, like your pictures, your old pictures and stuff, and those moments are gone. And there have been times when I've thought to myself, it's like, God, what would I pay to live that day over again? To just, and I mean, not even control it, be a passenger, just ride myself through that day one more time. Like, how cool would
I
that
have
be?
another movie to recommend you. It's by this director. You know what? I'm going to look it up on it with the Hirokazu Koreeda, and I think it's okay. Well, I'll just explain what it is. It's heaven, but heaven is a movie studio, and all these new people come into heaven, and they say, you need to, before you disappear into eternity forever, you need to pick one moment from your life, just a moment that you want to carry with you, and you can take your time and think about it. But when you think of it, come to us and we're going to recreate it in our movie studio. And you'll have it as a reel of film, and then your soul can just go off into eternity.
Wow.
You know, some people don't want to choose. Some people are talking about, when it was just a moment sitting with my wife at a park bench. It was the time somebody bought me this ice cream at a fair. And it's a really extraordinary movie. I think it's a vision of an afterlife that an atheist, for those reasons that you just explained, can really get beyond. And I think about that a lot, like, well, what's the one moment that I want to carry into eternity with me? Yeah, I'll look up what the thing is.
Okay, that's cool. Hey, while she's doing it, hey, Mike, did you load that movie yet? Okay.
I have it ready to go. You know how I always screw this up when I try and actually hit the search. So it's all ready to go when you need it.
It's fine. All right, cool. So talking about movies, Volley, go ahead while you're looking. So I noticed you talked about being a movie critic. So how did you wind up being a movie critic? How did you get that? Because that's actually that's been one of my sort of like romantic. And when I say romantic, it's like I thought it'd be a cool
dream
job
job kind of thing. Yeah.
But I don't know.
If only I could watch movies all day.
Right. Yeah, you're being a romanticist about it.
I am.
So let me tell you. I'm sorry. Let me burst your bubble about it. So people go into being a film critic because they love movies. But the downside of it is you see more terrible movies in a year than you have ever seen before in your life. Because when you're not a film critic, you're sitting down and you realize this is a terrible movie. You get up after 10 minutes and you ask for your money back. But when
or you only go to see movies that other critics tell you are good.
Right, exactly. I have to take a bullet for everybody. You know, so I did it full time for about 2 or 3 years, and finally I was like, oh my God, life is too short. I can't. You know, I see 200 movies in a year. And there were a few like really extraordinary ones that I still sort of resonate with. But as you see more, and it's gotten to the point now that I'm a terrible movie date, because we sit down and then I can't tell within the first 10 minutes whether I'll like a movie or not. I can tell whether the director is in control of the material. And as soon as I know that like nobody is riding this horse, I have to nudge my date. And I say, I'm sorry, we got to go. It's not going to be good from here on out. So. Having said that, if you have an opportunity to do it, I highly recommend it. So I came into it sort of fortuitously. So, you know, Baltimore is Smaltimore, right?
Yep.
I was working at Maryland Public Television, and I met someone who was a writer for the city paper. And in the meantime, I was just sending out reviews to friends of stuff I saw. Like, you know, I saw the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane. You know, I'd see all the comic book movies, and I'd send stuff out. And then one day, 3 people who didn't know each other each wrote back to me about a review I'd sent them, and they said, this is good, you should send it to the city paper. So I said, all right. So I forwarded it to Lee Gardner, who at the time was the editor, and said, hey, can I be a film critic? And amazingly, he said, okay. And I asked him later, what did you see? And he said, well, I just saw that you had a unique voice, that you had a unique way of doing it, and it didn't sound like you know, newspaper boilerplate. You had something specific to say, so I gave you a chance. So the first movie he sent me out on was Shrek 3. I wrote 800 words about it. I think I took about 1,600 words of notes. I was so worried. You know, I don't know how to review a movie. Right. So and that was 2004. And you know, in that time, I got to be a film critic on WTMD, you know, the Towson University radio station. Yep. I got to host Cinema Sundays at the Charles Theater, which was really super. I had a great run being a film critic, and film is really that's sort of my great love, and that's my day job. I always want to have something to do with film.
Cool.
Hey Pete, you know, you have so much extra time. I think that's something you really ought to look into.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I think, you know, you have a book to write, you have a show to do.
Right.
I think adding, a movie reviewer would be perfect for you.
Mike, that's my dream job. Just like you said that you'd want to do voices for cartoons. Brian's actually living that dream.
Yes, but I can do a voice anytime I would like.
But
and when I'm done.
But I'll tell you what. The MythWits has their own movie critic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your opinion on.
Okay, all right.
Oh boy,
this is awesome. All right, so.
All right. Have you ever been a critic of a movie critic before?
No, I never have. That would be a Metacritic.
Today is the perfect time for you to go meta.
We're gonna go totally meta on this. All right. So this Jay is one of our extended MythWits. He's a really, really good buddy of mine. He's a game designer, and he and we're like peanut butter and jelly. Yes. But like male peanut butter and jelly. But he's a funny dude. He puts together movie reviews for us from time to time. So I told him to review this movie, The Colony, because he had just watched it and he did a commentary on it. So I was like, all right, we'll do a movie review, and I want you to do it in. He has a certain style. He has like 2 or 3 different styles that he does, and I want him to do it. I don't want to spoil it for the guys because they haven't seen it yet, but I told him to do it in a specific style, one of his styles. So if you can go over to if you take your mouse, you go over to your right or left-hand side, you'll see a little red square with a white triangle in it. That's the YouTube button. Yes. So if you can click that.
Okay, like so. All right.
Yep.
And I am
say okay and
loading it up now. Unable to load video.
And it wants to know who I am, and I'm going to let it know who I am.
Just a little heads up, whenever the video plays, it's going to mute all of us.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right, I'll let you know.
Okay.
It's
Pete, I don't know why it's saying that it can't load the data.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm gonna.
Even YouTube thinks this is a bad idea.
YouTube's smarter than we are.
Yeah, I copy it. I copy the link. I have it. Oh, do you have it public by any chance?
It should be public by now. Hold on, it should be public by now.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
No, it should be.
Colony.
I'm sorry. I set it up to go public at 9:30.
Okay.
Womp, 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 womp.
No, give me a second here. Yeah, this is sometimes we hit these technical difficulties. It'll only take a second. Come on now.
All right, while you figure that out, I'll tell you what I think about critics reviewing critics. So because people would ask me what makes a good movie critic, and for me, it's not about what they say, whether they like or don't like movies. A really good critic, when they write a review, it should feel like they're writing a letter to you, and I think. That's the thing of like the body of work. People go to sites like Rotten Tomatoes and everything because you want to see the group consensus of, well, it's good or bad. And that's useful too, because when you want to get sort of a rough opinion of a movie you want to try out. But for me, the biggest pleasure of not only writing film criticism, but reading it is over us get a sense of the writer's personality, whether it's Roger Ebert or Pauline Kael or Manola Dargis or whatever. And you start to trust them, and you trust it positively or negatively. You can say, well, if Roger Ebert hated this movie, I'm probably going to like it. You get to know a personality in these missives between. So I feel like you can be Joe Bob Briggs, you can be the most academic kind of, Anthony Lane, whatever it is, as long as the core of who you are is coming through your reviews. I think that is a good film critic.
I definitely agree. Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, there's a YouTuber I occasionally watch named Doug Walker, who goes by the alias of the Nostalgia Critic, and he did a tribute to Siskel and Ebert, and he also did a tribute specifically for Roger Ebert when he passed away. And he talked about how when you watched Ebert do his criticisms on these films, you could just feel the passion he has for cinema. And I think that's the key. When you, if you want to be a good critic, you really got to let that passion just take over. Yeah. The minute that passion is taking over, you can put your fingers on the keyboard, grab that pencil, whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's what draws people to it, is especially for these big name critics, just like Roger Ebert. It's the passion. I mean, as a film major and screenwriter, that's what got me into film. Is I love movies and I love telling stories, and and that's the way it should be.
Did you see the Roger Ebert documentary about his life?
Actually, I know someone who did voiceover narration for it.
Fantastic.
Steven Stanton.
Let me tell you this. Yeah, I went with 2 friends of mine to see that because, I was always a huge fan of Roger Ebert, and his writing got me into having a dream of being a film critic. The 3 of us were sobbing coming out of that, and not like sad sobbing, but like grabbing each other's shoulders and saying, "I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad that you're my friend." Like it was such a life affirming, And then we had to go out and get like Mexican food and tequila together because we were so in love with life at that moment. If you love movies, you've got to see that movie. It's just
I mean, I went to go see that movie in support of Steven, and it's so good.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean,
got it. Sorry.
Oh, I think I just got the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. The thumbnail.
Stop, movie, stop. Okay, I'm sorry. I had scheduled it, but the time zone was off. My bad.
Yeah, and you and I both were working on it at the same time, and I made a change, and then you made a change.
Cool. Okay, so Violet, this is our boy Jay Libby. He's
just one-take wonder.
He's a one-take wonder. This is great. All right, so Mike, let it rip.
Okay.
Professor J here for MythWits and Indie RPG at the movies. This week we're going to talk about The Colony. Get your shovels out. Bill Paxton, Lawrence Fishburne, digging it out in the aftermath of a global freeze-over. We're talking planetary atmosphere controllers, crazies after the aftermath, and a cold. Is it a good movie? Visually cool. All the complaints about it, they know where to stick it, right where the shovel goes. I give this movie probably about a B-. Still worth watching, though. Get your seeds, get your pants, get your snowshoes, because it's time to go snowing at the Colony. Cha.
All right, so what...
I especially like the combination of the Arctic and the Egyptian theme.
Did you put the After Effects on the bumpers there?
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's like having a nice French baguette with a lump of shit in the middle. Oh no!
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding.
Is this the first one he's done?
No. He does these for us all the time.
No.
He's done many of them.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
he has fun with it.
It's a comedy bit.
I went to art school, so I will give the classic critique you get from the teacher of, keep moving in that direction.
Lots of encouragement.
No,
did you find it a letter that you had hoped it was going to be from him to you?
It was something in the mail from him. I definitely received something in the mail. Yes. I did enjoy it. Yeah, he brought a lot of personality, and I did enjoy it. So this is critic approved.
Well, it's funny because the whole point of it is that it's supposed to be bad, right? It's like it's so bad it's good. A lot of times he'll use dolls, like he did
My Little Pony dolls.
He'll like use My Little Ponies and Galactus, and
an old Godzilla toy.
Godzilla. He had one where Godzilla was reviewing his own movie. He's like, "So it was my movie," and I just thought it'd be funny because he does those, and I was like, "Oh, we have a movie critic. You have to do one for our movie critic," and he's like, "All right."
Yeah. But I like that. Movies are fun. They were always meant to be fun. It's like that Pauline Kael essay where she says that. What is that movie, Wild in the Streets? It's like this 1960s movie where these hippies give acid to everybody over the age of 35 and lock them up in a concentration camp or something. Like it's like she has this famous essay where she says, yes, Wild in the Streets is a better movie than 2001, and anyone who thinks 2001 is better just has a stick up their ass. Is basically the theme of the essay. And it's like it's true. Movies should be fun. And reviews should be fun too.
I agree, because Mike, what horrible movie do I love?
Flash! Oh!
That's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
It is,
And you know what people? Okay, hear me out here and tell me if I'm right or wrong. The reason why I think it's so much, why I like it so much, is because it's fun. It's a movie that does not take itself seriously. I think it accomplishes everything it was intended to accomplish. It's pretty. I mean, you look at the filmography, you look at the costumes. Yeah, the special effects aren't great, but it's 1980. They're not really that bad either. I mean, considering. But the color schemes, you look at it, they paint with a really pretty palette, right? And the acting is horrible, but it's like it's supposed to be. You know, I don't know. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think
it was all a big setup, all for the movie Ted.
Yeah, it could have been. Right?
All happened for Ted.
Yeah.
Probably.
But you know, that's such an interesting topic of bad movies that people love, and not guilty pleasures. Like, that's a different thing. But movies that you deep down you defend, like, I love this movie. You know what bad movie I love?
What's that?
I love Showgirls. That's a great movie.
Really? Okay.
Gosh, that's like a vulgar trash masterpiece. It's totally shamelessly sexy. It has all the crap that you want in a movie. It's just this endless spectacle. I can watch that movie unironically and enjoy everything that it's meant to be. Yes. I have no shame about it.
So I have an opinion on something. Okay, so I have an opinion on everything. So so the 70s and 80s, we got to see a lot of nudity in movies. It was like a breakout. You know, I mean, they were breaking away from the 60s and we're getting into the sexual era. And then in the 90s and the 2000s, that all kind of sort of went away. I mean, something happened. I don't know what it was in society, but people decided that no more titties, no more butts, no more whatever.
Right.
And I'm really happy that it's back. You know, we're making a comeback, and I mean, especially like HBO and I don't care if it's naked men, naked women. It doesn't matter to me. You know, I mean, just like, I think America is so stuck up that they need, we need more nudity in movies. I mean, and I mean,
the British are way ahead of us on that. Have always been.
And I'm not even saying nudity for nudity's sake. I mean, a scene where somebody should be naked and they're naked.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Not
Well,
just.
that was interesting. Having just seen Gone Girl, which I just saw, I'm still sorting out what I think about that. But there's a scene of Ben Affleck's penis, and it's not like da da da. It's just in the perfect context of like a man stepping in the shower with his wife, in exactly the context that it should be. And it's not a big deal, and it's not sensational. But
what you're saying is Ben Affleck's penis wasn't that impressive?
Right, exactly.
Come on, it's no
like this love-hate thing. Me and Ben were kind of frenemies. Like, I sort of hate myself for wanting him. So it was like,
okay, I got
this conflict in my mind.
Right.
But that was like the perfect, exactly what you were talking about. Like, it's just an accurate reflection of life.
I got you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it should be where
even
it should be
Hitchcock
where it
talks
needs
about
to be.
that.
Yeah.
Was that Brian?
I was gonna say, even Alfred Hitchcock talked about it, about nudity has to be in a proper scenario with his pictures. I mean, in a lot of his films, he doesn't really care much for the whole sexy blonde thing, but I mean, if it's appropriate for the scenarios he writes, then he'll do it. I mean, I was watching an interview with him. It was on the Tomorrow Show in 1973 before he died, and he just talks about stuff that when it's necessary, he'll do it. I mean, this is a man who people think he's just a horrible, frightening monster because of the content he's produced with The Birds, Vertigo, North by Northwest, and, you know, he's actually admitted, I'm a very placid coward. I mean, this is a guy who's actually afraid of policemen because he doesn't want to get a ticket. He refused to buy a car, get a driver's license, and drive because if I don't drive a car, then I can't get a ticket.
Right. Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, even Hitchcock knew about this during that era of when nudity was kind of like in this big bang in cinema, because this was about the 60s and 70s, he went on to about the mid 70s, and you know, it's true. You know, I mean, if it's appropriate for the scene, then that's what you gotta do. If the writers and the directors believe, well, yeah, I mean, it's in perfect context, then yeah, it has to be done.
So my thinking is like, for example, here's a good example. So the movie Watchmen. My hands down, my favorite superhero movie. And I think because it's so cerebral, because it's not really, maybe it's not fair to even call it a superhero movie. It's a cerebral movie with superheroes wrapped around superheroes. Right. I mean, it's not a superhero movie like Avengers was. But you had Dr. Manhattan, and he's walking around with his penis hanging out. And everybody's complaining about, oh, why did they have to have his penis hanging out? It's like, well, you don't understand the movie, and you clearly don't get the character. You don't understand it when you say that. And I think it's great that they did that, and I think I'm glad we're getting in an age where we can do that stuff again. And I'm just hoping it doesn't go away again, because that was, in the 90s and in the 2000s, they did a lot of stuff where they censored a lot of things that I don't think they should have. And they seem to have no problem with showing people's heads getting blown off, or people getting chopped up, or like unbelievable amounts of violence. That's cool, And,
Right.
Well, I talked about that. There's a documentary called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated" by Kirby Dick, I believe, where he talks specifically about that, about why violence is so much more tolerated in American movies than sex. And he tries to get down to exactly who are the people on the MPAA board. He hires a private detective to try to track them down and get an idea of their understanding. And it's things like, movies where someone gets their heads blown off is, squeaks by with a PG-13, where movies with like a single instance of cunnilingus is an automatic R, and they talked about like straight sex is a little more privileged than gay sex, and like woman on man is a little more privileged than man on woman, and there is sort of this whole hierarchy of it, but violence is just that's kind of the carte blanche of American movie making.
Right.
Yeah, it's sort of.
I couldn't understand why. What was that Denzel Washington movie about like American, like a drug kingpin in the 70s in Harlem?
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
like that was a crazy brutal movie. I remember because I was reviewing that one at the same time that I was reviewing The Darjeeling Limited by Wes Anderson. And I could not believe that those were both R movies. I thought the Denzel Washington one should have been an X, and the Limited should have been a PG-13. And I just don't understand the rhyme or reason of the MPAA.
Well, just look at the movie like Old Boy. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that thing is vicious. I mean, and okay, and don't even get me started on The Last Temptation of Christ, okay? Right. That movie. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Last Temptation of Christ was okay. I'm sorry.
You're thinking about Passion of the Christ.
I'm thinking Passion of the Christ. I'm sorry, I fucked that up.
Yeah.
Now, the Passion of the Christ to me is a snuff flick.
Yeah.
Even South Park said that blatantly in their episode.
I mean, that is ridiculous. That's the most
what did
violent
they call it,
movie.
Like the Jesus Chainsaw Massacre?
Right. I seriously, I sat through the whole thing, but I almost got up and walked out because, and for me, this is saying something because I love violent movies. Don't get me wrong, I love me a good violent movie. Yeah. But I was at a point in that movie where I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up. I think I need to get out of here. This is making me nauseous. Right. And people are bringing their kids to this, and they're like, we gotta see how Jesus.
They want to show this at churches.
I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, what? Like, this movie, that's the most violent thing I've ever seen. And I don't know. That's just crazy. So as a movie critic, you had to probably go through a lot of the hypocrisy. Were you just shaking your head a lot of times going, why is this R? Why is this PG? Why? Yeah. What the fuck? I mean...
A lot of times, that was a little frustrating. Most of the time, I was shaking my head saying, why was this even made in the first place? That's my main complaint.
That's another thing. Maybe you have some insight on this. Because we've talked about this before with a lot of other guests. This whole remaking of things, the rebooting and the retelling old stories. Let's make an Addams Family movie. Let's make stories that have already been told.
Right.
But you're a writer, and we talk to a lot of writers. Why this comes up a lot. There are so many good stories out there. Why is it they keep telling the same old boring fucking stories?
Right. Well, I keep thinking there's a quote by Charles Perrault, people want to be surprised by the familiar. I think that's what it is,
That's a good quote, yeah.
When it's hard to, when you're a Hollywood studio, you make a movie, you're going to be able to skim a little bit of money off the top of it before it immediately goes, pirated in China, 24 hours later. You're like, I don't think I can take a chance on a strange new original story, unless it's attached to a director like David Fincher or a star like Ben Affleck. And I'm not saying Gone Girl was like a super original story, but it was definitely different than a lot of movies I've seen lately. It's easier just to make Battleship or whatever.
So why'd you have to bring up Battleship?
Yeah, there's just kind of a lack of imagination. I almost want to say like there's a lack of cocaine in Hollywood now, because in the 80s you get people like Don Simpson.
I don't know. I was gonna say, did you see Wolf of Wall Street?
And everybody else was like, yeah, great idea. And nobody's doing that anymore.
So I heard a little bit of a theory on this, and they were saying that the way movies are made has changed. Okay, so. Back in the 70s, like when movies like Jaws and Star Wars were made, they released less movies a year, and movies were more about, and there were a lot more independent movie companies. So now you have like 3 big media giants, right? But back then you had a bunch of them, and they were all competing. But everybody was happy because they were making enough money. Whereas today, everybody wants to make billions and billions. It's like if this movie doesn't make me, $1 billion, it's not successful, and I'm gonna fucking no more of this shit. So, it was more about the movies. There was more, and it was harder for entry. Movie makers. It was harder to become a movie maker because you had to have a good product. And it was about the art. It was about the movie. And where today it's more of a, not to sound like everything else, but I mean it really is. I think it's really becoming like just a money train where it's just like, how can we make money off this movie? Our movie is a business, and it's like, yeah, I get that. I get you got to make money, but do you have to make billions? I mean, how much money do you really need to make? I mean, if you're in the black, isn't that a success? Because it's going to continue to make money. You're going to be making money off the residuals. I mean, do you have to be a multi-billionaire? You're not happy being,
But there's more and more people and more companies and more collaborations where everyone is putting more and more hands in the till. So you're not making as much as you think either.
But there's this thing called integrity.
I
mean,
okay. Integral what?
Let me just throw something out there, all right? For integrity. You want a prime example of Hollywood sticking their hand in the creative pie? Look at Alien 3.
Oh, yeah, they
7 screenwriters, 3 directors, and at the final cut, they messed with Fincher's cut. I actually own William Gibson's screenplay. I found it online. He posted it online. I read it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is essentially an espionage flick with Hicks and Bishop. And I'm like, why did they not go with this one? Even Dan O'Bannon kind of had a scope for the whole genre for Alien.
Right.
But
and you know what? And now we've got Ridley Scott back. He's back making these movies again. But the only problem is he's lost his fucking mind. Okay, because he made.
I hate to bring this up, but man, his brother committed suicide. Man,
I know, but he's
mess with people.
I know, but he's like all into the God thing now. Now it's become this story of God.
Again, you have to look at it this way. Remember, before he did all these productions, remember his brother Tony committed suicide, so he's probably going through a bit of an emotional complex, which is affecting his judgment and what projects he picks up.
Don't care. He's raping my childhood.
Don't you compare him to someone I know that is raping childhood.
Michael Bay?
You want to talk about destroying the childhood of millions?
I'll tell you, Violet, this show, we unabashedly, I think we're all unanimous on this.
We're Bay bashers.
We're Bay bashers. We hate fucking Bay.
Fine with you too, yeah.
But again, the thing of it is, this brings up a point. Whatever happens to these filmmakers in real life usually can translate in their films. And the same thing with writers. I mean, look at Howard Phillips Lovecraft when his father went insane at the age of 2 and he became a xenophobe, and he's kind of like a person born out of time. His xenophobia really translated into his writing, borderline racist.
Yeah.
And
borderline.
Philip K. Dick, who was doing all right until he had like a amphetamine addiction in 1973, and then kind of went off the rails with the balance.
But the point of it is, this brings up to a more positive note. The thing I love about films is, with films, you can tell that the movie was good because you can tell that everyone behind the camera and on set had a great time doing it. My favorite example I love, because it's one of my favorites, is Pacific Rim. You can tell that everyone had fun making it. Every actor, every editor, VFX person, especially the director, being that this is his favorite genre, loved making this movie. It reflected in the final product, and that's why it was a smash hit. We got 2 more movies, an animated series, and a graphic novel coming out of this, and a possible Godzilla crossover. So,
Hey, Brian,
I think that was the feeling a lot of people had about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
is it that fun?
And it was like the same thing. It was like, it was so fun. It was just fun, man.
See, that's the thing. I mean, and to kind of counteract, I don't want to say counter the argument about Hollywood just being this chronically tight-fisted business where they don't gamble anymore. You also have to look. There's a resurgence of independent filmmakers thanks to technology now. People are making great indie shorts. I mean, look at Dredd. Dredd grew back into a huge following, and now we got a miniseries that just came out. Spoilers, and they're still working on getting a sequel. I mean, look at Hellboy 3. People want this movie so badly that Hollywood is now finally rethinking it because fans outcried for it. Ron Perlman led the charge for it. Guillermo del Toro wants it, but the scope is so big and massive, he's asking like $140 million just for practical effects, which is something I think we also need. Because Jurassic Park, I think, is one of the perfect movies as a ratio for computer-generated effects and practical effects. The reason I love using Jurassic Park as a benchmark is because if you have to use computer-generated effects, use it for establishing shots in grand scenes, big scenes that you can't really make big practical effects. You can't make animatronics that big.
Right.
But for close-up shots, medium shots, tracking shots, these proper shots, practicality really makes the difference. Because when you see that animatronic T-Rex in the rain just blow Sam Neill's hat off, you still enjoy it. So, I mean, yeah, it is a business, but there's also that little light at the end of the tunnel thanks to how we're doing this live show, the phones in our pockets. There's film contests like it's almost like a Cannes Films for people who specifically make movies on their smartphones.
Which, hey, you know what though? Let me get back to this. So I wanted to mention like who are your favorite breakout movie makers? So, for example, for me, when Quentin Tarantino came on the scene, I was just like, oh, what? I mean, he just really, and Fight Club was magic to me. I mean, Fight Club, it's still like my favorite movie. And I have arguments with people over Fight Club because they're just like, oh, what do you like? You just like the snarky banter? It's like, I love snarky banter. What are you fucking kidding me? Snarky banter's like a thing, And I have found that my favorite movie, I mean, just personally, my favorite movies, every time I find a movie that I really, really like and I can go, you know what? That movie sticks with me and it probably always will. It's always heavy in dialogue. Like Jaws. Just the dialogue in Jaws between the characters is so rich and powerful.
Yes.
Quint, oh my God, Quint is like the greatest character ever.
And he's an actual asshole on set too.
I love that.
I've heard stories. He's a straight up dick.
But like Tarantino, I mean, he writes with color. I mean, like his dialogue is just like, it's just like he's just spewing.
And this brings up back to my point because it's the passion. I mean, he was on a radio show and someone was arguing, some woman named Martha, or I don't know, about why does that have to be so violent? He just straight up says, because it's fun, Martha. Because I'm having fun and it's fun.
And I don't like every Quentin Tarantino movie, like from Dusk to Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Right. I thought that movie.
He wrote that. That was Robert Rodriguez who directed it.
I thought that movie was 50% good.
Yeah,
right.
The Quentin Tarantino
half.
Yeah, the first half, the Quentin Tarantino half, was awesome. But and like Four Rooms, it was quirky and all. I know he was trying to do, but I didn't really get it. But like oh my God,
Pulp Fiction was amazing.
Pulp Fiction, Django,
Reservoir Dogs, his first
best movie ever.
A movie that he paid for a good portion of. Yeah, he got a producer, but when production stopped, he would go back working full time. When he had a couple $100, he would go back to filming it again.
But you know what? The first movie he wrote was amazing. One of my favorite movies, True Romance.
Right.
And he didn't direct it. But God damn, the dialogue, the characters, the richness of it.
Wasn't he also involved in some way, whether it was the writing or the directing of I think it's called Sunshine Cleaning Company or the Sunshine something?
I don't know. I've seen the movie, and it was good. It was a good movie, but I don't know if he had any.
As a matter of fact, the woman who was, it was Violet. It was about like a woman who was basically like a house cleaner or something, and she gets a job because she's fascinated with
she hears that it makes good money. Because she's poor.
She becomes a crime scene cleanup person.
Yeah.
And she's fascinated. She's fascinated with the death.
It was a good movie. Oh, it's a good movie.
The woman who was the taxi driver in Pulp Fiction, that was the woman, and it was almost like the same character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me.
I recommend it. It was a very kind of interesting movie, but I think he was involved in it somehow.
So Violet, you do still do a lot of movie reviews. You do the older movies now, right? The Turner
Classic.
Classic.
I'm actually doing more older movies. I know I'm not right as on top of new reviews in the past.
So who? I mean, but you follow movies. You're a big movie fan, obviously. Yeah. And we are, as you can see, as you can clearly see. Who is? Is there a Tarantino on the horizon? Is there somebody who's killing it that isn't doing the same old shit? Like somebody we need to look out for.
Anti-Bay.
Yeah, the anti-Bay.
The anti-Bay.
This is a couple of years ago, and he really hasn't shown the same kind of potential. But what's the guy who did Moneyball and Capote and what's his name, Barrett?
Hold up, I got you.
Yeah, if you look it up.
Moneyball, right? Let's see Moneyball.
I feel like that. I wasn't crazy about Moneyball, but Capote was an extraordinary movie. And
Bennett Miller.
Yeah, Bennett Miller, and I would like to see more from him because he has a gravity that he purchases material with that I'm really interested in. Lately these days, I'm much more interested in screenwriters, and I have the suspicion that all the talent for great storytelling, extended, rich, multifaceted, character-driven storytelling, have all gravitated to television. And maybe that kind of goes back to, if they're going to be making Battleship 4, there's no room for these characters that all end up on Breaking Bad, Weeds, Mad Men, Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
I think that's where the real talents are right now, which is kind of sad for people who love movies. I think maybe that's why I've sort of retreated into history and start thinking about classic film and silent movies, But at the same time, I think an episode of Breaking Bad is better than a lot of stuff that I've seen.
So TV shows, right? So I haven't watched Breaking Bad, and I want to. I have so little TV time, because I like Mike was saying, I allot myself about an hour a week of TV, maybe 2.
Now that he's got his lucrative career as a movie reviewer too.
Right. Yeah. So I like so I watch Walking Dead. And I watch Game of Thrones, and and I will say it's a guilty pleasure. I did watch True Blood, because that's not a very good show, but I watched it anyway because it's.
Hey, Abney Park made a cameo.
Violence and sex and all that kind of stuff. I don't even really like vampires. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even know why I like the fucking show, but I watched it. I'm actually kind of glad it's over because now I'm not subjected to any more seasons of it, and I can continue with other stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all this HBO and stuff? I mean, I think they're really doing a good, like AMC, I know a lot of people hate Walking Dead. They're just like, oh, I don't watch a goddamn show. I think it's fucking awesome. I think there's a reason why it's so popular.
I can't really think of anyone who has anything really bad to say about Walking Dead.
I work with some guys that are they're these.
What are they watching? Dancing with the Stars?
No. I'll tell you who they are.
Nice.
Violet, you'll know. You went to Micah, right?
I did.
I think I saw that in your thing. All right, so
yeah.
So imagine the guy that goes to Micah, who's a contrarian. Okay. So he's the purist. Like, I read the comic, and the TV show. I don't like where they went with the TV show. I can't watch it. I think my chair at that guy. So those are the guys that don't like The Walking Dead because they're veering away from the comic, and the comic was so much better. It's like, yeah, but you know what? I read the comic too, and what's awesome is that I get to watch the show and I don't know what's going to happen because I haven't already seen it.
What did you say before? The unexpected. Vile, what did you say? I gotta write this down again.
I got it. People want. Yep.
Want to be surprised by the familiar.
Yep.
Surprised by the familiar. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I love it, and I've never read Game of Thrones, but fuck, I love that show.
It's actually fairly faithful to the stories. I mean, especially since George R. R. Martin writes a few of the big episodes of the show.
Well, they're about to take a big, because he hasn't written the next book.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, dude, those books are 1,500 pages each, and the dude writes like a turtle overdosing on Ambien.
And Mike, what was Scott Sigler saying about TV, about movies and TV and stuff? Didn't he was saying that the next generation, like his take on it is that he sees TV kind of going away and being taken over by the YouTube generation.
Yeah.
And I almost see that because my kid, all right, so my kid loves YouTube, fucking loves it. She's actually stopped watching TV and she watches these YouTube creators, and they're very talented. I mean, these are some really, I mean, like, I don't like what they're putting together because I'm not 5 or 6 or whatever.
Well, look up Freddie Wong. I mean,
he's cool.
Views.
No, I know who he is. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they have videos like guys playing, and like I don't understand this whole thing of people playing video games and talking during the video game. Why people like that? It's like, no, I want to play the video game. I don't really want to watch you play it. But there are people who like that, and we may be moving into a generation where the rest of us are like, hey, these kids these days with their YouTube videos, I don't understand. I want to watch a good old movie. But we may be seeing an age,
a digital age,
where there is a complete paradigm shift. And the stuff that we love may go away.
Well, not so much. It's just going to move over to a different platform like YouTube. Don't forget, YouTube is right now kind of moving toward a television model as well. They're opening up studios in New York. They just opened up one. They have studios in California where people and content creators can go and get more professional things. But you know why they're doing that? Because for those particular types of content that's being created in their studios, they can get the prime advertising dollars for it. So it's kind of the same model. It's just moving. It's moving from one, broadcast television is just dying so slow. I mean, like there have been dinosaurs that have been turned into gasoline faster than television die.
But you know what?
Here's the thing.
Right.
Basically, when it comes to YouTube, like you said, a lot of the Let's Players, that's the proper term that they give them these days, is the people who play games. They're now migrating over to Twitch because YouTube has placed these, well, it's an automated policy. It's an algorithm that automatically checks your videos, and it, something like it. But basically, platforms change all the time. Whenever there's a seemingly better platform, people are going to migrate to it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to kind of throw a little something in here as because I know we were talking about breakout directors and stuff like that. I've also noticed that more and more amazing directors are not even American citizens. They're foreign directors now. My favorite director right now is a South Korean director named Bong Joon-ho. He made The Host, which is phenomenal. It was like a Korean version of Jaws, and he just came out with a movie based on a French graphic novel called Snowpiercer. Fucking amazing.
How is that?
His visual style is so good. His color palettes, it's really nice.
The Snowpiercer, that was I've heard of that. That was that weird train.
So the summary of Snowpiercer, basically, humanity made an experiment to combat climate change, and it backfired horribly. The planet was absolute zero. Like, if you step foot on the surface of the Earth, you would freeze like that. So the rest of humanity lives in this 1,000-car train called the Snowpiercer that's powered by a perpetual motion engine that this inventor made.
Ow,
could happen.
Ow,
Stop. It could happen.
Ow. My science bone hurts. Ow, stop it.
Oh, get over it. It's a French graphic novel.
My science bone.
Well, here's the thing. It's a classic social class statement because all of the rich and wealthy live in the front of the car, and all the poor, lower class citizens live at the bottom. And it's somewhat of a revolution. And it's so interesting. The characters were, the cast was great. You got Chris Evans, John Hurt, Jamie Bell, Tilda Swinton, Ed Harris. Such a great cast. And this guy, his visual style is so interesting. his two big movies are obviously The Host and Snowpiercer, and like he seems to be getting better and better and better, and I really hope he does well. And that's something I want to mention because there's a lot of interesting movies that some people count as art house or foreign flicks. Like there are movies that have, you know, celebrities that we enjoy in America in these foreign productions. Like there's a movie I saw called Automata, which is somewhat about it's more on Asimov's robotic principles.
Right.
And it's so interesting because it has Antonio Banderas as the main character. So what I've noticed is it's not so much the film industry, it's more of our domestic industry here in the States. Because if you look at foreign industries, they're still willing to gamble on potential stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're willing to gamble with these new our Hollywood, they do it from time to time, like with Gareth Edwards with Godzilla. Made one movie on a $50K budget, edited everything himself, and then he made Godzilla, and he made him like $100 million opening weekend. But other nations, other foreign industries.
I think the issue is like, yeah, well, the other foreign industries, other foreign countries will support the arts with grants. Like it's wildly easy to be a filmmaker in Canada. There's governmental grants for you to finish your film, and it's the same across Europe. This country, the arts are woefully underfunded, so independent filmmakers have to go to studios or to private funding, and that's a big part of the problem too.
And you know, I've noticed that's one of the things that you know, people are like, oh, the artsy fartsy Europeans and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but you know, creativity and art are the same thing, and engineering.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't Tarantino a national treasure? Shouldn't we treat him like, you know, the Grand Canyon or something like that?
Seriously.
You know?
But creativity comes from the same place. So, for example, I work in a prototyping facility for the military. So I work for the Army, and we build prototypes for the Army. So they come to us and say, hey, we need this. Can you guys invent it? So I work with a bunch of inventors.
Right.
And everybody I work with, almost every single person I work with has a separate thing they do outside of work that is very creative. I got one of the guys who builds, he does what they call 3D printing. So he's one of the 3D printing experts.
Yeah.
Now he didn't 3D print this, but he built his own R2D2 robot that he runs around, and it's fucking awesome. It looks great.
Wow.
But it's like everybody on the team, almost every single person has something they do in their private life that is artistic, and I'm just like, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, your brightest engineers, your guys, your inventors, your geniuses, the guys you go to for answers. How do we do this? They're all artists too, and it's like it comes from the same part of the brain. Creativity is creativity. It's like, so you really want to foster that because we need to be the most creative country to stay competitive. I don't know. It's how I feel. I'm a big art fan.
I hate to piss on your creativity parade here. It is 10:50.
Okay. All right. Mike is our timekeeper, by the way.
Oh, very good.
So
Mike, before I forget, I looked up what that movie is, film studio where they make the movie after you die. It's called Afterlife.
Okay.
2 words, and it's by Japanese director Hirokazu Koreeda.
I got it. I'm going to watch it. All right, so hey, real quick, let's do our homework here let's do our bit for Violet. So if you want to find Violet, you can find her at Violet so www.violetlevOit.com, and you can find her at same thing at Facebook, Violet LeVoit. Or LeVoit. Sorry, LeVoit.
My first name is an anagram of my last name.
Yeah, that's right. Tell that story real quick. You said you had a story.
Okay,
for that.
so the story was that after I got divorced, I thought, well, do I go back to my maiden name? And I was like, no, let's go forward. So what I decided was, it just sort of came to me in a caffeine rush one day that LeVoit was the anagram. So I went and looked it up, and it's French for to see. I was like, oh my god, well that's like perfect for a film critic. So that's what my name is. So it's the same coming and going.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
So check out her stuff, and we're gonna have links in the video. I may already have them in there. I can't even remember now. But if we don't now, we will in a few, like by tomorrow. So her books are the one's coming out is I'll Fuck Anything That Moves and Stephen Hawking. That comes out on Halloween, right?
Yeah, or a little bit later. It's going to be sort of like a soft premiere at BizarroCon in Portland, and then afterwards.
Okay. And then I Am Genghis Cum, which we've seen, and you guys have seen pictures of, and this is, and I personally endorse this. This is fucking good. I like it.
Thank you.
Very good, very awesome book.
Hey, do any of your books are on audio by any chance?
I am just finishing I just finished recording the Genghis Cum audiobook, and that'll be released as soon as possible. As soon as I'm done with the book for it.
Where will we get that?
Where's that going to be?
I think it's going to be on a local. Well, it'll be through Audible, but it's going to be released by a local record label called Exotic Fever in Philadelphia.
Cool, but we can find it on Audible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're big fans of Audible.
I'm a big Audible reader.
Awesome.
When we start,
I'm reading it, so that'll be extra fun.
When we start cool. All right, good. So when we start taking, what is it? What am I looking for? The word.
Commissions.
Advertisement. When we start advertising for other people, which will be, I don't know, whenever we get more popular. But when we start, Audible is one of the ones I want to promote because I really like Audible. I'm a big fan. I Audible I'm an Audibler.
Nice little sponsorship from Audible.com.
Wait, just real quick. I'm sorry, Mike. We're going to go a little bit over on this real quick because we got on this movie discussion. You talked about this, so just go over it real quick. You went to locustmoonfest.com.
Oh my god!
Locust Moonfest.
Yeah, Locust Moon. If you are a comics creator, Philadelphia is a great city to make comics. We got all kinds of people. And actually, they just finished the Locust Moon. The festival was just yesterday, and it was outrageous. I got to meet Bill Sienkiewicz, who drew the New Mutants and Stray Toasters and all that stuff. Super nice guy. A lot of local artists, like people like Robert Woods and Box Brown, and Philly is just, it's like, what Seattle in 1991 was to loud music. I think Philadelphia is in comics. It's coming big. So if you make comics, come settle in this city, and there will be a home for you at Locust Moon for sure.
Cool. So when I get around to wanting to do my graphic novel for the stuff I'm writing, I want to go to Philly.
You want to go to Philly? You will find colorists, inkers, artists, everything. And Locust Moon, actually, they're a store, but they're a gallery, and they're also a press. And they just finished this incredible book of inspired by the Little Nemo comics, the Winsor McCay comics, and they had 20 to 30 different artists contributing their own books. And this book is gigantic. It's huge. It's it's bigger than I am, and it's just extraordinary looking. They do some really incredible stuff. The two guys, Chris Stevens and Josh O'Neill, they're really one of Philadelphia's treasures. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, so I just wanted to cover that because I know you went and you were very excited about it, so I wanted to make sure you got a chance to promote it. So Mike, this is where we move on to Mike's portion of the show. Mike, you have a game for us.
Okay.
Me?
Yes, I
You know
believe
me?
you.
All right. Today, we will. Should I just make it a surprise? Should we shock the shit out of Violet, or should we give her a little warning?
No warning. No. She's cool. She can handle it.
All right.
No. It's just a game show. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. I got that turned up there. And then
This is It's a fun game.
Okay.
So, Violet LeVoit, get ready to match wits with the MythWits, featuring Peter Bryant and Brian Olvera. Allegra's a douche, so she's not here. All right. We play the Geek Studded No Money MatchWits 14, and here's the host of MatchWits 14, me. All right, here are the rules of play, Violet. You will be read a question, to which you will be asked to fill in the blank. Filling in the missing word with any word but blank. But before you reveal that word, we are going to have our MatchWit panelists take a stab at your blank.
Okay.
Meaning, what are they going to predict your blank is?
Okay, so I'm writing this down, or
Yes, get some paper and a pen, or
I got it.
something like that.
Okay.
And all right. So basically, there's going to be 5 rounds. We will look at their answers first, and then we will reveal your blank. With 1 question per round. For every correct match our panelists make with you, Violet, they will be awarded 1 million points.
Right.
For every matching answer that the panelists have matched with each other, the players themselves will receive 500,000 points. So you have, guys, you've had time to get to know Violet. So MythWits, you have to ask yourself, are you going to play for the power points by going for the low-hanging fruit, or are you going to go for the big points?
Also, oh, wait a minute, and Mike, you also reward
Yes.
points every once in a while if you're funny enough.
Maybe a point or two if it's going to put somebody over the top. It's a big money point, you know? Alrighty, so basically, and just so you two understand, the rules have changed just a little bit because, Violet, you're the anchor point. They want to match with you, okay? But you're not in it for the points. You're in it to be, but be as bizarre as you want. I'm telling you right now. You just, this is not, we are NSFW. This is where the NS comes in. So,
Yeah.
all right, here we go. This is question number 1.
Right.
So, there's a new genre emerging in sci-fi. Instead of a world running on Steam, this world runs on condoms. It's called blank punk.
Let's see.
Sorry.
There's a new genre emerging in sci-fi. Instead of a world running on Steam, this world runs on condoms. It's called blank punk.
All right, go on, Mike. Music. Where's your music?
It's playing.
No, it isn't.
Nobody hears it?
Nope.
Nope. Sad face. Womp, womp, womp.
You are not hearing this.
No.
Nope.
Well, that's bizarre.
Hold up. Nope.
I hear it.
Crap. We have this whole thing. God damn it. Come on, Mike.
It's like
that
grade.
sucks.
It's like grade schoolers trying to do their group presentation in front of the class, and it just fucks up.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We're going to do it without the music then.
All right. Well,
Right.
that sucks. But all right, here we go. First, we're gonna go. We'll go to Pete.
Yes?
Pete, there's a new genre emerging in sci-fi. Instead of a world running on Steam, this world runs on condoms. It's called blank punk.
Bunk punk.
Blank punk. All right. Big Bri. There is evidently new genre. Science function. No, running on condoms. It's called blank punk. What do you think it is, buddy? What would you?
Skeet punk.
Skeet punk.
What the hell is skeet punk?
That's how the brothers say come.
Oh.
That's right.
Oh,
No.
shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
I ain't down with that lingo, yo.
All right, Violet. There's a new genre emerging in sci-fi. Instead of a world running on Steam, this world runs on condoms. It's called blank
Splooge
punk.
punk.
Hold it up for us.
Splooge punk.
Splooge punk.
But I like spunk punk. That's more
That's
literary.
hilarious. We each just came up with a synonym for
That's how popular. That's how popular cum is.
Splooge punk skeet. I like it. All right. I like the. Never mind. All right. Round 2. Here we go. When Pete was in his band, Slam Chicken, every time he jammed on stage, fans would throw eggs at his blank. When Pete was in his band, Slam Chicken, every time he jammed on stage, fans would throw eggs at his blank.
I'm locked in, Gene.
All right. And I am going to just try something on my phone here, so I'm going to try this again. Do we hear it now? No?
No.
Well, sucks to be. I'll have it for me. It sounds good on my end.
Okay.
When Pete was in his band, Slam Chicken, every time he jammed on stage, fans would throw eggs at his blank. Are we dialed in, gentlemen?
Yep.
All right, let's start with Big Bri first.
Brian. Oh.
Brian, what did those funky fans throw at Pete's blank?
They threw eggs at his chicken.
Okay.
Oh. Now, is that a euphemism?
Maybe.
I need it for a ruling. It could come in handy. Come in handy later.
Easy.
Okay, it's a euphemism. Peter. Peter.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I created this question, I'm playing MythWits with myself for you. I will reveal my answer in a minute.
Oh, really?
So,
okay, cool. Okay.
Yes. Pete, not that this is you, Pete,
Right.
but when Pete was in his band Slam Chicken, every time he jammed on stage, fans would throw eggs at his...
Pecker.
Oh, I win! I know. Sometimes it just gets too inside and meta, but anyway.
Again with the synonyms.
Yeah.
Mike, you were in Slam Chicken.
So, I don't know. I have a slate ruling coming in, but Violet, let's see what happens here. When Pete was in his band Slam Chicken, every time he jammed on stage, fans would throw eggs at his what?
This is his pop-up roaster timer. What is that thing that they stick in chickens that...
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
That's the pop-up timer.
Because I envision it as like some kind of body piercing he would have. Like he would have one of those timers on him, or...
Man,
Oh,
that's a good
he
idea.
does, but that's in his belly button.
Yeah.
That is a good. That would have been an awesome piercing.
All right. I'm going to say that his chicken and his pecker, even though pecker could go both ways, and chicken is, I'm going to say each of you are going to get 250,000 points on that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Since you guys know that the only way to really win is to match Violet anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Violet, here we go. This one is not related to Pete or a new sci-fi fiction. Here we go.
Or chickens.
Or chicken.
Or chickens.
All right.
No.
Wait a minute, hold on, Mike, real quick, just for everyone. Slam Chicken was a band that Mike and I were in that was not really a band. It's like the biggest joke ever. We wanted to be a band, but it was so bad. It never.
Cool. Yeah.
I think what we played one living room.
Yeah, we never made it on stage. More like a living room alcove.
But we had like T-shirts designed. We had the whole thing. Like One Bad Egg was going to be our first album. It was an egg with horns and a tail. Whatever. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good times. Okay, here we go. The Daleks have fallen on hard times.
Oh boy.
These days, for $50, they'll exterminate your blank. The Daleks have fallen on hard times. These days, for $50, they'll exterminate your blank.
That's a tough one.
Evidently not.
I spelled this wrong. Because
That's okay.
I'm a horrible speller. So I'll pronounce it when I post it.
All right. Okay, so here we go. Let's go with Peter. And we have the Daleks have fallen on hard times. These days, for $50, they'll exterminate your blank.
Your libido.
Your libido. Neo libido.
Yeah, that wasn't a good answer. I was having a hard time with that one.
All right, Brian.
Oh, David. Damn it, that's awesome. I'm going to read David's after.
Oh, okay, that is good. I just saw that too, right when you said that. All right, yeah, we'll save it. We'll read yours, David. Okay. So, Brian, what for $50 will the Daleks be willing to exterminate for you?
Virginity.
Oh.
Same amount of syllables as exterminate.
And they've got that plunger thing. They could they could take care of that.
Virginity.
All right, Violet.
Okay.
Violet, help us out here.
All right.
For $50, since they fall on hard times, these Daleks are going to exterminate what?
Doctors, what through how inclusive?
That's awesome. That is
You know what? That was a good one.
Those guys aren't so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Violet's going to win this
I'm done.
game. That was good.
That was a good one, Violet. But I'm telling you, David wins this one. Okay?
Yeah.
He said, "Your tarred ass."
That's good.
That was a good one. And then we got a good friend of ours, Devon, is in there. He said, "Your sexual curiosities," which libido and virginity could kind of somehow collide into that one. All right, so
Tardas has got it this round.
yeah. All right, so here we go. Number 4, round 4 of 5. All right, so here we go. Indiana Jones may have been named after the dog, but Short Round was named after the blank.
Oh no! Oh. Awesome.
I don't know how I can. Sometimes I sit at work and these things just pop into my head. Your tax dollars at work. Indiana Jones may have been named after the dog, but Short Round was named after the blank.
Shoot. No. Oh, that's a good one.
Gonna read this one more time.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone's having
a little bit. Yeah.
Everyone's having a little bit of an issue. I hope it's what can I choose from of this plethora of bizarro crap to come out. But here we go. Indiana Jones, and don't forget, we do kind of reside in the gutter here, Violet. All right, just so you know.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Indiana Jones may have been named after the dog, but Short Round was named after the blank. And you still have a few more seconds, Violet. You have to, because I got these two clowns I'm going to go to.
All right.
Who are we going to go with first? Let's. I got my face on Peter. What? That doesn't sound right.
Oh, yeah. Face on Peter.
I got my face on Peter, so let me have it, Peter. Indiana Jones may have been named after the dog, but Short Round was named after the blank.
Kate Capshaw's Little Man in the Boat. That's a short round, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna take the spirit of that particular answer, not the letter, as it were. Mr. Brian, help me out here. If Indiana Jones was named after the dog, Short Round surely must have been named after the blank.
The Pussycat.
Oh?
The Pussycat.
I think Brian and I agree on this one. I think that's a match.
I don't know. I mean, Cat's got a different parts of his of the.
I think the caption makes it a little more specific.
Okay, all right. That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been the cat's tongue. No.
Yeah, you know.
Anyway, Violet, Indiana Jones may have been named after the dog. What Short Round was named after the blank. What we got? Help us out here.
The dog's severed testicles.
Oh God.
You know, I was this close to saying that myself.
Ruh-roh. Oh,
Severed testes. Oh man. Okay.
Amazing.
You know what? It's honestly, this game is not serious because nobody wins anything, so it's okay if nobody wins.
Yeah, but you know what? There has never been a tie yet. Someone has always pulled.
I know it could be this one. It could be this one.
And Pete, number 5, is a little insider for you, but it certainly doesn't give you any
advantage.
Right. Other than the fact that it is definitely low-hanging fruit, which is why I did it last. So, here we go. Number 5. Cross-eyed Timmy always loved to stare at the moon. However, he was actually staring at Cross-eyed Timmy. Are you right there?
You're right.
So inside.
It's so inside.
It's so inside.
Timmy's a real person.
Cross-eyed Timmy always loved to stare at the moon. However, and unfortunately, he was actually staring at blank.
Should I go first so I can give Pete some time to recover?
Yeah, we could definitely do that, Brian.
Hey, look,
Again, Brian,
I'm looking right at the,
Timmy.
Hey, Mike.
What?
I'm looking right at the camera.
I know you
I'm
are.
looking right at it, and I can see
Cross-eyed
what
Timmy
doing.
always loved to stare at the moon. Unfortunately, he was actually staring at blank. What you got for me, Brian?
The crack.
The crack. The crack of what?
The crack of the moon.
The crack of the moon. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Peter. Let's see if you and I are going to match on this one too.
I think we are. Could we go back to last week's show? Right? Pam Gay?
All right, so Pete, our friend, our old good friend, Cross-eyed Timmy, always loved to stare at the moon.
Yes.
But unfortunately, he was actually staring at the blank.
Uranus. What you got? Is that, hold on, wait. What you got? Oh, Uranus. Yep. Oh, shit.
Sometimes I wish I could play this game. But this the cross I have to bear is the master.
That's the game master.
Okay. Violet, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to get any more points on this. It may just be a cool 250,000 to 250,000. But Cross-eyed Timmy, that son-bitch always loved to stare at the moon, but unfortunately, he was actually just staring at blank.
Okay. Ready? Okay. Big butt sluts 5. Big cocks, smallpox.
Oh, God. Hey, wait a minute. What was the Heather Walker movie?
I don't know.
Brian, remember Heather Walker? She worked at a porn store, or not a porn store, at a
Biker Sluts.
Biker Sluts. Okay. We had somebody.
Biker Sluts.
Okay, that's right. All right, Mike. So what is the grand finale?
That leaves you and Brian tied at 250,000, and but then again, I don't know if you counted you and I mean, you win because you matched me twice. But anyway, that's just a side game.
All right, so hey, Brian, cheers.
What?
Buddy. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers,
we win this one.
All right, so that's it for today's Match Wits with the MythWits. So I hope you had fun, Violet. Was it good?
Yeah, it was real good. Thank you.
It would have been even better with the music, but I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I got the thing plugged into the thing, and the other thing is dialed up.
All right, so here we go. Let's move on to our last segment because we're getting, as always running long. Brian, what's new with the news?
Okay.
Graphic, right?
I got a new graphic up. Yep, I got the news up.
Sweet. Most of these lovely little articles is provided by our good friends at cinemablend.com. First article. Reports come in from Latino Review that the sources from Warner Brothers says they're interested in actresses to play a villainous female role in the new Suicide Squad movie. And there's been some signs saying that this might be Harley Quinn, since she is very popular in the DC demographic, and they have a potential candidate. It is actress and model Cara Delevingne. She's a very lovely actress who was in Joe Wright's Anna Karenina adaptation. So this could be something interesting to see. I mean, because the fact that they decided to do a Suicide Squad boggles the mind, but hey, if the animated version worked well, then why not a live-action version? Because last time I talked about the Suicide Squad movie, they've been targeting A-listers: Will Smith, Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, and Tom Hardy. So the fact that we might actually get Harley Quinn in a Suicide Squad movie would be pretty nice.
How do you spell
that? Kara's last name?
Yeah.
Delevingne.
G-N-E, okay. Whoa, she's cute.
Natural blonde too, just like Harley Quinn style.
No, I mean she's got a really cool exotic look to her. I like that.
Well, she's English. What do you expect?
Very nice, very nice. Okay.
So next bit of news.
English exotic.
English
exotic, isn't it?
In the thespian world.
All right.
Thespian world. Because English thespianism is a whole another level above American thespianism.
Okay.
Right.
So another news.
Oh, what?
So in other news, thanks to the lovely, lovely, mysterious person who leaked the Age of Ultron trailer a week early, and Marvel deciding, fuck it, let's release it now, kind of made ABC a little bit upset, but they said do not despair because they will show new footage during the episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming up later this upcoming week. And Kevin Feige, or I can never get his last name right, but he's the Marvel Studio president who pretty much makes all these wonderful movies become a reality, stated that we can expect to see the roster of the Avengers change by the end of Age of Ultron.
Right.
Which I believe is going to be a nice little segue to the hottest Marvel news topic, which includes our good friend, Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Hold on, wait. I know what you're going to say, but there's already people saying, wait a minute, that was released too early. That may not be true.
Well, there have been some updates to these articles. It looks like Benedict Cumberbatch is in final talks to playing Doctor Strange. So that takes out Colin Farrell and Keanu Reeves as the frontrunners for this, and everyone's going crazy for it. And I think this is kind of neat, Violet, because you have Doctor Strange hanging right behind you on that wall. Gotta love that Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
She got some Strange on her wall.
So hold on, wait, before we go any further. So you're obviously a Doctor Strange fan. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, actually, okay. So I'm totally behind Benedict Cumberbatch being Doctor Strange. I think it's a good choice, and I think he's just a really unique and interesting looking actor. So, but actually, I'm not a huge Doctor Strange fan. But the story behind this is a Marvel blacklight poster from the early 70s. This was my uncle's, and I was terrified of it when I was little. But he took me downstairs one day and explained to me, this is Doctor Strange, this is his world, he likes to go there to relax, and I was 5, and I accepted that. And so this is the same uncle who let me read all of his comic books. So,
okay.
So this is the beginnings of fandom right here. So
I gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I love who is it, Ditko and all that kind of stuff. I love Ditko's Doctor Strange drawings and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Strange is not like one of my huge fandoms. But I am excited about this news. I think it's going to be a good one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. And in other news...
Oh, wait, hold on real quick. Before we go on before that...
All right.
Slow down there, Brian. Slow down. So hold on. So Keanu Reeves, I think he would do an okay job, but he's just not dynamic enough. Now, I listened to him on the Nerdist recently. He did an interview on the Nerdist, and I know he's when you talk about John Wick, you're saying he's back, but Doctor Strange needs to be kind of strange, and Keanu Reeves just kind of isn't. He's
creepy.
No, he's not.
He's creepy.
He's
Doctor Strange.
He's a little wooden. He doesn't have.
You know who I'd like to see as a second choice. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just ruling out Keanu Reeves, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think if Keanu did it, the whole backstory with the the monks and the everything in the Himalayas and whatever. That would be a little bit too much. Like, didn't he already play Buddha? I mean, I think that would be just sort of a retread of that. Who I would like to see, if Cumberbatch doesn't come through, what about Cillian Murphy, who was the Scarecrow in the Batman?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I like Cillian Murphy a lot.
Just that like arrogant edge that I think Doctor Strange needs, being a surgeon, being arrogant but also sort of earned humility, and I feel like he could do it.
Yeah, you know what? I love Cillian Murphy. I liked him in 28 Days Later. One of my, my favorite zombie flick, hands down. Yeah. But also, he was in Sunshine, which I loved. Yeah. Have you seen Sunshine?
That's a great movie.
Sunshine. So he's got the chops, and he can be that weird kind of, but like still kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Oh shit. When somebody's really smart, unlike me, erudite. So he can be erudite. He can play an erudite. He can, but he with that sort of like weird kind of feel, and I agree. Cillian Murphy would be fucking awesome. But Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Played a dragon, and he was Khan, so
he's got it. I'm fine with him.
Definitely. So, anyone here Danny Boyle fans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone love
28 Days Later.
I was going to say, anyone love the movie Trainspotting?
Yes. Oh, so good.
So it looks like 2016 is going to, since it marks the year of the 20th anniversary of Trainspotting, it looks like that's when they're going to start production of the sequel around 2016, according to Ewan McGregor during an interview with Details.
What are you going to sequel that with? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's this quote.
Is it another Irving Welsh novel?
Well, here's what he told Detail magazine. It's a quote he said. It looks like it might happen. The idea is that we shoot in 2016, which would be 20 years after the original came out, and I'd be up for it, and I wouldn't have been 10 years ago, but I am now. So it looks like we might actually get a Trainspotting sequel.
So would it be like maybe his son?
I'm honestly not sure, to be honest. I mean, the fact that we're getting a sequel is interesting. The fact that Danny Boyle wants to do this right around the 20th anniversary of the first film, because Danny Boyle, he's currently doing a stage kind of production, ironically, with Benedict Cumberbatch of Frankenstein. You can see them at the Phantom. It's one of those Phantom events kind of things. I saw an advertisement for it, and I'm totally going to go see that. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting when they talked about this. I guess it's been in talks for a while, but they're going to try and start production principal, and by that I mean principal photography in 2016.
So let me get your guys' opinion on this. So, what do you think about what if they did like a story basically about his character dealing with a child, his son or daughter, whatever, doesn't matter, either way, who's getting involved in drugs that way, and then taking it from the perspective of somebody who survived, a serious drug addiction. You could tell it would be a different story, be a completely different story.
Well, here's the thing I need to point out, because when I did some more digging into this article, because the whole thing about the sequel started back in 2010 when Danny Boyle teased the possibility of adapting another Irvine Welsh, the sequel novel, Porno. That could be what we'll see in Trainspotting 2.
And what was that? What do you mean?
Well, back in 2010, Danny Boyle mentioned he want the possibility of adapting the Irvine Welsh's sequel novel called Porno. So that might be the direction that they're going to go, since it is the sequel novel for that. But the fact that we might see Ewan McGregor again, because the way that he mentioned it, it's hinting that he's probably going to come back for that production. So that'll be interesting, in my opinion. I'll see. It's one of those things where it's just like with me with Jurassic World. Okay, I'll wait till the trailer comes out before I make a decision.
Yeah, I'm not. You know what? I'm not really excited about Jurassic World. I mean, I've been seeing so much negative stuff about it, but then again, it doesn't matter. It's when the rubber hits the road. Like, what are they going to do with it? Because I was skeptical about Godzilla, and I saw Godzilla, the most recent one. And I wasn't blown away with it, but I did like it, and it was way better than I had expected. I had thought that they were going to I would just assume that Americans doing a Godzilla movie, they were going to fuck it up. But I think they did okay with it.
Yeah.
So I was
Ian
pleasantly
is
surprised.
ape shit. I know you know what this, but Ian is ape shit over my son. He is ape shit over the Jurassic World.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so maybe it'll be okay.
I'm just gonna do a little quick side tangent. I think the reason people are excited for this movie is because the Colin Trevorrow talked about the plot, and it's basically, the park's built finally. It's under a new corporation. John Hammond's dream is fulfilled, but it's a bit of a statement towards our society because he says later on down the line, the park is a huge hit. It sees 20,000 people a day. They come in via ferry from Costa Rica, but then they said, well, after a while, attendance starts to drop. And he says, well, look at us today with phones and mobile technology. We're so integrated with this, we tend to ignore the miracles around us. And that's the statement he's saying. He's like, imagine a teenager texting his girlfriend with his back to a Tyrannosaurus behind a protective shield. So that's kind of, and so basically the corporation said, oh, well, we're losing attendance, so we need to create a new attraction that's bigger, louder, and has more teeth.
Tyrannosaurus selfie.
Well, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on, Tyrannosaurus.
No,
let me
photobomb
take a selfie.
T-Rex. Imagine the T-Rex photobombing.
Yeah. So this is like the Dawn of the Dead Jurassic Park, basically.
Right? Yeah, pretty much.
And instead of the mall, it's the more dangerous park.
Right, and he basically said it's two messages. Money-driven objectives can often lead to horrible outcomes, and the fact that we're so integrated with technology leaves us blind to these obvious miracles that we have. Like Louis C.K. did a joke about he was on a plane, and planes now have Wi-Fi on it. And he was sitting with this person, and the flight attendant said, oh, we're sorry for this inconvenience, but something's wrong with the router, the Wi-Fi's not working. And the guy next to him said, this is fucking bullshit. And he just looks at him and he goes, you do realize we're in a giant aluminum tube 35,000 feet in the air, and you're complaining that you can't watch your YouTube subscriptions?
Right.
So,
Right. It's like the little girls at the park. She's like, I think Becky said I was going to come out, and all those near, can you shut up? Oh, come to the stupid park.
Right. Exactly.
Like, well, how does one cultivate an appreciation for the simple things in life by sitting in the dark of the theater and watching a multi-billion-dollar spectacle?
Right. Exactly.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing the exact thing College Park said. I literally tried to sum this up.
Then what is next? Like Dust Moat Park? Or and they're so beautiful in a sunbeam, or ants building things park.
Well, John Hammond did start out with a flea circus, so.
Cretaceous park.
You remember that? You remember that monologue? Talked with Laura Dern in the cafeteria eating melting ice cream, talking about the first thing he ever did when he came to America was make a flea circus.
Right. So it amazes me because so as a child when I was growing up. My family's from West Virginia, so I spent a lot of my time running around in mountains in West Virginia. And I didn't come from West Virginia. I grew up and lived in Baltimore, but I had relatives from West Virginia, so I had what I consider an opportunity to go visit my aunt's farm. No, really,
cross-cultural class.
I did. I had the ability. When people say, "Are you country or are you urban or whatever?" I'm like, I'm in between. I'm like, I spent my childhood, a good chunk of my childhood, running around on a mountain, right? I mean, like in the sticks, and I learned how to hunt, and I did all the shit the hillbillies did, and when I well, maybe not every, well, maybe I'm not gonna talk about that, but but I'm telling you, I remember. I used an outhouse before I can remember. Let's put it that way. And I've drank, when I stayed at my aunt's farm, we drank spring water. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that, I had the opportunity to run around in the hills without any electronic anything, no TV, nothing. There were no TV stations up there. There was no radio. There was nothing to do other than just be part of nature. And it was really cool. But I also had the city experience because I lived in Baltimore most of the time, So I had both experiences. So like when people say, you know, it's like, oh, we're missing out on this and that. It's like you really are. You know, your kids need to get out in the woods. They need to go do things. They need to dig in the dirt, and they need to pick up earthworms, and they need to, you know, swim in fucking creeks, and they need to do all that shit. But there's nothing wrong with them also playing with an iPad. You know, the technology that we have today, all the stuff that we have today is not bad. It's all good in its proper place. You need to balance that with the real world too. You need.
Hey, Pete. What? Pete, you want to put that soapbox away?
I'm sorry.
Tick,
all right.
tick.
All right. So
tick,
Brian,
tick,
Brian,
tick,
Brian,
tick.
Brian, you were saying?
All right, I got two last news articles. So I got two last new articles. So it looks like the full Dread miniseries Super Fiend is now available on YouTube. So producer Adi Shankar finally came out with the animated spiritual successor to the awesome Carl Urban Dread movie. Okay. So all 6 episodes are now out on YouTube. Just go look up Judge Dredd Super Fiend, and they're all there ready to watch. They literally just came out, I think yesterday is when these came out, and it's gnarly looking. I got to watch.
That's one I'd like to look at.
Yeah, cool.
And it's pretty sweet. So last thing, I found something interesting. As as some people would say, I found this cool shit on the internet.
Yeah, that's my term for Brian's news. Cool shit that Brian finds on the internet.
So this is a Kickstarter by another Brian Conti from Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's an interesting thing called the Bottle Loft. It is a little accessory. It's the world's first magnetic bottle hanger for your refrigerator. Wow. So it's a.
Do you have a screenshot?
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. I'm on the Kickstarter page right now.
Do me a screen share there, Brian.
So check this out. It's the Bottle Loft. It is a special little slate with 3 little magnets that you can actually put on top of the compartment of your refrigerator and actually suspend metal bottle cap bottles. Free up some space and hold it up there. So here's just the basic look at the slates. And it's very interesting. I mean, and obviously it's not just for us wonderful alcoholics that we are. Right. I mean, he has some conceptual designs. You see the slates, custom magnets, and the plastic rails. And it's got, that special adhesive that you put on the top. But I also like how he also advertises other drinks as well. So, okay, it's not for Blue Towns, but it's very interesting. This thing has already been funded. Let's go back to the funding over here. He was asking for $20,000, and he already doubled that, more than doubled that, and he still has 12 days to go for this production. So I think
this is funded by pre-sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are you familiar? Oh, yeah, it's a Kickstarter. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Brian, I don't know. You could get cancer in your beer with that magnet. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, how the fuck do magnets work?
Yeah, you don't know how the magnets work with the voodoo. Next thing you know, people are getting cancer, and they're getting they might have a bout of the autism. You don't know what that all because of this guy raises money for beer.
To raise beer.
So
literally.
Brian,
elevate it to the altitude it deserves.
Right,
exactly.
So back to Brian.
So this was just something I wanted to share. It looks like, I mean, it's one of those nice what most people call life hacks. Mm-hmm. You guys are familiar with the term life hacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I mean, sure. A classic example is like, let's say you have a cake, you've already had a slice, but you don't want that inner part of the cake to get stale. I found out, and I tried this. It's really cool. You get 2 slices of bread, and you stick them on the exposed areas of the cake, and you just hold them down with toothpicks, and it keeps the cake fresh. Huh. Yeah, the bread will get stale, but the cake.
Right. Who gives a fuck? You're not eating the bread, right?
But yeah, it's one of those interesting little innovations that creativity helped spawn, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
It's amazing, it's one of those things where why hasn't this been invented already?
That's what Kickstarter's so awesome for.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's pretty much all I got for cool shit I found on the internet today.
Nice. I got a great life hack. You see this here? This is a MythWits business card. And it can also double as if you get something stuck in your teeth here. It's really good at taking it out of there. So, anyway, that's my life hack for the day.
So, wait a minute. Mine is your, do I have one of those? Hold on. Yeah, I don't have one of those handy. But like another business card, if you should have a bald head and you're ever like itchy, you can use it to scratch your head. It works great.
Now, that's bullshit. What do you got? Your fingernails broken?
What's that?
Your fingernails broken?
Well, yeah.
Whatever.
All right. So anyway, so that's it for this episode of the MythWits. I would like to thank very much Violet hold on, let me get this right. LeVoit for being our guest on the show. Please check out her books. I Am Genghis Cum and I'll Fuck Anything That Moves and Stephen Hawking. It sounds really like, out there.
Coming to fine bookstores and audio.
And you know what?
Premieres near you.
I'll my name at Barnes and Noble. Yeah.
That's right.
I'd be banned from the store.
I seriously don't give a shit. Buy this book. Buy this fucking book. It's really good. And look, it'll take you, I don't know, a couple hours to read it. What is it? It's a short book. It's great. It's very, very, very entertaining. I haven't read the other book yet, but I'm sure I will because this one was so entertaining. And you can get that at violetlavoid.com. And we'll have the links in our show, of course, in the show notes. And that is it. And we should see some graphic novels coming from you, right, Violet?
Yeah, I'm actually working on one with the illustrator Greg Houston, who's a Baltimore guy. He teaches at Micah and some other places. What we're doing is totally top secret, but the script is so good. I'm writing it and he's drawing it. I can't wait for this to happen. It's got a Hollywood in the 1940s kind of angle to it, and it will amuse sick temperaments. Let's put it that way.
Will you promise to be back here when that's ready to debut?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You need to come back here when it's ready to debut. I mean, even if you only want to come on for like 15 minutes or whatever. Or if you want to do a whole show, that's cool. No.
A whole show? What are you talking about? This was fun.
Absolutely.
This was a good time.
Awesome. Cool. Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to run the show closers. That's it for this show. Thank you all for watching our show. And we will see you next time on the MythWits. Next week, we may or may not have Jay Novella. We really want to have him. But he hasn't gotten back with me yet. So... but that's fine. That's fine. If he's not on this season, that's fine. We'll get him on in the early part of next season.
He'll come on because it hurts so bad.
I'm gonna bug him, so hopefully he'll be here next week. If not,
he's a great guy.
If not, it'll just be us clowns fucking around. And but it doesn't matter because we've got a lot of material that we're ready to go with. I think another appearance by Darth Blix is due. And oh yay!
Hey, if you're Darth Blix, can I just be Bloda?
But it'll be good. We'll have a good show next week, regardless. So I'm gonna run the closer. Everybody, and we will see you all next week.
You've just enjoyed the MythWits. Join us for a live broadcast next week and every week, Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you miss our live show, you can always catch the encore episodes and the podcast version at our website and on iTunes. Make sure to check out our website at mythwits.com, and of course visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and iTunes. MythWits is a Studio187.com production and is protected under an attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives, Creative Commons work. You can download and share it with whoever you like. Just don't change it and don't try to make money with it. Make sure to check out Studio187.com for more cool stuff. See you next week.
Okay, what are you doing?